Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self-harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised, a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak about sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slaytor Jackson. And for you freaky motherfuckers out there, Sebastian Adams. On today's episodes, we are going into that kinky shit. We got whips, we got vibrators, y'all. We got them all. We got anal plugs, we have chains, we have rope, we have swing sets, we have everything you need to know about the kinky shit. And we're talking about fetishes. So on this episode, I have the fabulous, the beautiful, the amazing Tyrell on the line as we discuss kinks and fetishes. How are you doing, good sir?
I am doing well. I love that entrance. So many titles.
Look, I'm trying to do better. I'm making sure everybody know how much I love them.
Oh, loves most definitely 110% back to you.
Oh, thank you. So, usually when it comes to kinks and fetishes, we approach these as, different topics on the show. But for this special one, we're doing both in one episode, y'all. So we're talking about kinks, and then we're talking about fetishes, or we're just going to talk about everything in between as it coexists. And I even remember when with our intake meeting, how you asked me like the difference between kinks and fetishes, and we might end up going into that. We might not, I don't know for sure. But to start everything off, well, I can't really ask you I can ask you that. It's my damn show. Vernon, what the fuck are you doing right now? How do you feel about kinks and fetishes as you are today?
So I think that for where I am today, it's exciting to get to know different kinks and fetishes, and definitely what people are into. Just even learning about there's a guy that I follow on Twitter, who's very much into the leather community, and so even just learning about the leather community, and even though it's not something that I would personally engage in, just the nature of the history and the education that comes with it, regardless if you're in queer spaces or not. A lot of kinks or a lot of fetishes, they don't just happen, or they don't just appear. There's a history behind them. Some things obviously are celebrated more than others, but I think as a student of life, as I always like to say, I'm always interested in learning about where certain things have originated, or when did this really become like popularized. Not just where we are, but all over the world. And because obviously there are certain things that we may find still taboo, that has been going on for centuries. Like, let's stop pretending.
It sounds like you're referring to sexuality there. Oh my. Well, that's one of those things that a lot of people see as taboo, as though people are not having sex with each other before this, as though men were having sex with men, women with women, as though intersex people never existed, as though people who are transgender never existed. All this stuff has been in society for so fucking long, y'all. We're not here to have that conversation. we're, we're here to talk about kinks and fetishes, but we could have that another episode. Now, you've taken the BDSM test.
I did.
Hmm. So, what did you learn about yourself after you took that test?
It really wasn't surprising because I know for myself, majority of the things I consider myself vanilla with.
Mhm.
So the thing is that I think my test came up the fact like I was 76% like vanilla. But it was one of those things that I recognized that I kind of knew that, but the nature of different kinks or fetishes are a turn on to think about. So it's like even though I wouldn't necessarily engage with it myself, like in my mind,
Mhm.
oh, I'm like, oh, that seems like really, like really nice. And the reason why I wouldn't engage with certain things is for, a plethora of reasons. But it's kind of like when I got my results, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, like these things make sense. Like 71% of me was into voyeurism. Like I've always had that
Oh.
notion of I always love to, like I've been always fascinated with the nature of nude beaches, having sex in public or semi-public. And so regardless if I was to engage with it or not, just the thought of it is a turn on. So I think that that's something that, we have to take into account as well when we take certain tests or we get certain results. It's not necessarily always about what it is that you would engage with, but what you actually find to be a turn on. So, I think that and obviously that gets back to our earlier conversation that we had about the difference between kinks and fetishes as well. So,
So, what is your highest score? Wait, is your highest score the 75 for vanilla? Or is there anything above that?
no, actually, no, my highest score was the 76 for vanilla. My three highest were 76 for vanilla, 71 for voyeurism, and 70 for non-monogamous, and that is true because I am a solo poly person. So,
That is interesting because I would have thought that with for yourself it would have been a lot higher than that in
mm,
terms of like 80,
okay,
90, something like that relating.
okay.
So now I'm just curious about like what is the things that are engulfed in that 24%
Mm,
that's not vanilla in terms of how you express
okay.
yourself. Like where do those kinks come in?
So, I was when I was doing the test, it was like I was in the middle with certain questions about like role play and things like that. I think it depends on what it is and
Hmm.
like, getting into like a certain character or a certain costume. I think just really depending on what it is, I would be, open to. Um the reason why my score was lower on certain questions like whips and things like that is because I'm just putting it out there. I have very sensitive skin. So it's like you scratch me, I'm gonna get a whip. And I ain't got time to be, trying to heal my body from pleasure. So, it's like I don't have time for that.
I get
So,
it.
so um my kind of kink and fetish is it's of things that don't require like I want to say kind of like a not necessarily painful, but some type of inducing kind of like harmful physicality, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
So my question to you, how would you feel if I told you that there was a soft spanking type version of play?
Soft spank. I mean, yeah, it would be something I would be open to, but like I say, it's like for me, knowing the fact that I have sensitive skin, it's like depends on the person.
Because there's like some things like when you have a flog
Yeah.
for those people who are not like into like slapping and hitting and whatnot.
Mm,
You might do like a tap, but I think I won't say it's just like more related towards like leather, the leather scene, because a lot of flogs are made of leather, but you know, some people do like the to be rubbed on with that leather fabric because it does something for them
mhm,
in terms of arousal. But yeah, that's one of the ways for the soft spanking to occur, where it's
mm,
more of a going down, up and down your body in a
mm.
sensual way. Kind of like also similar to like feather play.
Right.
How do you feel about feather play?
Ooh, feather play. Uh, I'm open to it. Like I know for a fact that I'm also ticklish. So,
Ooh.
um, yeah, I mean, it's something that I think in my mind, it's like I'm open to, and then I don't know. Once I get in the moment, I could do a switch in a minute.
Hmm.
If I see that it's I think for me, it's something that I would definitely have to be in the mood for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something that I think that would have to be discussed beforehand. Make sure I'm getting myself into the right mindset for it to actually happen. So I would say, yeah, the feather play, I would be open to it.
See, and I was just wondering why that was a 74 for that vanilla. Okay, that makes sense. He has some other kink stuff that he's trying to do that he's not vocalizing, y'all. This man said he wants to try feather play. You better follow him. Stop. Let me stop. Oh God, but yes, okay. My vanilla. I had a high vanilla at one point, and
Okay.
this is even with me. Ari have taken the BDSM test where
Mhm,
everything, I don't know how it got that high. It might have been because I was like in a relationship and focused on just, my being monogamous at the time.
mhm,
And yeah, like the poly was lower. I think it was around
mhm,
60 or something. And monogamy was like at 80. And yeah, and the
mhm,
vanilla was like 90. It was weird because no, the vanilla was like 99, but
mhm,
Switch is usually always at 100% on my school on my test. But
mhm.
right up under the vanilla was like Dom. And I'm like, some of these things are not, how did I get so high in vanilla? Like, I don't, this is not
Right.
making
So I
sense.
need to explain something.
Who is this person?
But that's interesting though, because right after the 370, categories, 58% showed up for me at Switch.
Mm,
And I thought that that was interesting because for certain things that I do like to do during sexual encounters, I may tend to be necessarily a little like more aggressive, but like I take more of like I feel more comfortable taking like more of a control with.
mhm,
And then there's, that other side of me that just does like to be submissive.
mm,
So I thought that 58% was like was actually very interesting.
mm. Yes. Okay, 58. You better stand out and be strong.
Yeah.
Said these scores may be low, but they are not failing. Okay. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. So when did you take that?
Oh, I must have took this. I'm gonna say maybe like a month ago.
Mm, so it's recent.
Mhm,
Yes, I always recommend to take those. I won't say twice a year, but at least once a year, just to see
mhm,
how like for myself, I do it once a year, if not twice,
mhm,
just to see how my sexual expression has changed, how it's grown, and I will only say grown because even if something lowers on there, that doesn't mean that it's either any less of a thing, like I'm less of that person. The Holiloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Holiloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex.
Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Holiloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation.
Either any less of a thing, like I'm less of that person. It's just that it's not what I'm currently interested in at this moment, or what I'm comfortable or want to explore. So, but other than that, it's just growth. All of it is growth. It's just you still learning more about yourself every time you take the test. And I love that so much, because literally after that vanilla situation, then after I separated my ex, that poly, that non-monogamous shot on all the way up, and I'm like, what happened there? Who is this new person? Was I saying this and that? Did I indicate that I wanted multiple partners? Like,
Look,
what's up?
maybe that alter ego was coming out.
Look, Sebastian's like, nigga, you need to recognize who the fuck you is.
Exactly.
You need multiple people. It's okay. It's okay. You don't need to be monogamous out here.
I get it.
So have you tried any kinks?
Let's see. Have I tried any kinks? So remind me again how we're actually defining kink.
Okay, so kinks essentially are, let's go with adding tools into the sexual encounter to enhance or facilitate the pleasure throughout the experience. Not necessarily with it doesn't have to be a whip, it doesn't have to be rope,
right.
But integrating those things, right. And also integrating the taboo aspects of sexual expression, which can be within that age play category, or the role play side of sexual expression, the what else? Restrictions of sexuality, integrating that play. All of that is within kinks, essentially.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I think for me, I'm kind of like, I think I'm more expressive of vanilla when it comes to kinks. Like, I don't necessarily need to introduce, certain things into, a sexual experience. But something that I would actually like to try, though, is I would like to have not necessarily food, but like certain edibles that are like aphrodisiacs in a way, just to see like how they are. Like, I wouldn't want to do like the whole like syrup or anything like that. To me, like, that's all kinds of sticky and all things. I ain't looking to do all that. But yeah, something that like I would love to like just nibble or eat something lightly off somebody that's that's edible.
Why you had to say syrup? I won't say it was not syrup, but I recently had an experience with not food play. Well, you might as well say food play, but it was whipped cream. Where this person just wanted to lick whipped cream off my body, and I was like, okay, why not? It was pretty nice. And then they decided, let's put that on the dick too. Let me cut that off of your dick, and I'm like, go ahead. I'm definitely going to have to wash extra because that's sugar. So, but like, I say go for it. Do it. Like, integrating food with sexual expression is pretty fun.
And it can also have like a double like role for you. You can use it for pleasure, but like if you've also been hungry for a certain time as well, like you could be getting some like nutrition in as well to keep like your energy up a little bit. So it can work twice.
Not the sexual environment now going to have a whole bowl, a fruit bowl.
Right.
Gonna have some water over here. Oh, it's a scene now. You know,
Mhm.
crackers, cheese, all of that. Yes, yes, it's a mood. Just walk up in there like, oh, is that for
Mhm.
me? So we're gonna eat
Mhm.
before we have sex? No, we eating while we having sex. But first, I want to eat you, motherfucker. What's up?
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm here for it. Another thing to get back on topic before I ruin other people's appetites. Um, it's like, Vern, I was just about to eat a banana and your ass is talking about licking whipped cream off your fucking titties. Nigga, what the hell? The stigma related to kinks and fetishes. Let's go into that.
Okay.
Uh, are you aware or have you heard of any stigmas or what was your mindset prior to our conversation about kinks and fetishes?
Oh yeah, I know based on I think it's much more of the well actually no for both kinks and fetishes. I know that there is a lot of trauma. I know that there's a lot of racial upheaval when it comes to certain fetishes, especially. But yeah, I think the reason why kinks and fetishes have always been something that is looked at to be taboo or it's kind of demonized in a way, it's because of the secular aspects of coming from religion,
Mm,
especially the nature of Christianity and either and other sects of religion as well. And it's kind of to say like sex is only between man and woman. It's supposed to look like this and that's it. And so for even for a lot of us, we have to come into learning about the fact that sex is for pleasure, not just
mm,
for reproduction, you know. So, once you get past that, then it's kind of like, oh, like, do I feel okay to voice, certain things I like? Because even it took me a good while to verbally admit that, yeah, I have a bit of a foot fetish,
mm,
so and I don't know why because I mean, I didn't grow up in the church. Of course, I'm a, spiritual person, but I didn't necessarily grow up in the church. But it was kind of like even just like saying it out loud. It's not to say like I was flabbergasted about the fact that I, had a bit of a foot fetish, but even just saying it out loud, it was kind of like, I don't know, it makes you feel almost, I don't know, dirty or less than in a sense.
mm,
Like if you think that something is almost like wrong with you because you like this and you know that other people may be into it, but you're scared to broach that with a potential partner, especially if it's something that they're not into.
mm,
So it's that, like I say, a lot of racial trauma that comes with fetishing. A big one that's in the queer community, especially for black and brown men, and also not just for the queer community but for a straight community as well, is this fetishization of the BBC, as we know as the big black cock, which
mm.
like it makes me choke even just thinking saying
It's
the
a
word.
dick. It's a dick.
Yeah. And so, it's like even thinking about notions about that, about the, and, for a lot of us, we don't even really understand about the reason why we don't like the word.
Mm,
But it does carry a lot of historical connotation to being obviously the nature of cock being viewed as an animal.
mm,
The fact that black and brown people were obviously hypersexualized, over sexualized, um, to be in degrading situations. So all of that really comes into play. And so when we carry on and think about the aspect of kinks and fetishes, it's kind of to say like, oh, my sexual expression is already deemed as being deviant, and then now I'm adding kinks and fetishes onto it, like so yeah, I think that definitely for kinks and fetishes have had a lot of upheaval in the nature of us looking at it in history, but also has created spaces for us to kind of move into, kind of new light and new territory and inclusivity about, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's have the conversations. Let's, have our annual, get-togethers of, with pride and, different, you know, uh, communal events and things like that. So I'm liking the fact that we are in a space now where we are having more conversations, that we don't have to view it as being so taboo anymore, even though it still kind of is. So.
See, you had me stuck for like a minute there
Mhm.
because you mentioned the word cock and how just how that word in itself um discuss some people discuss like myself, yourself, how
Mhm.
it has some kind of implication that just provokes a negative response. And
Mhm.
now I'm just like, where does that come from?
Mhm.
I really do. Now I really want to know exactly why am I so disgusted by the word cock versus the word dick. And I know like even throughout my life, you might hear somebody say, "Oh, you're such a dick," but you don't hear them say you're such a cock.
Mhm.
And honestly, if I heard somebody say that, I'd probably die laughing because, like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell is that? But like, I'm stuck on that. Like,
Mhm.
I really do want to know why is there an aversion to the word cock? Is it because it was socially acceptable to say cock? Is it because of whenever it came to certain things in media, like movies or whatever, and how they might say suck my cock in such a negative way
Mhm.
that it's always seemed so very disrespectful and
Mhm.
and somewhat demeaning that we automatically have that aversion to it. I don't know. I really want to know exactly why that just provokes a negative response now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I think it stems from many things. Some aspects, you mentioned just now. And I think, it and I don't know, it's like we all a lot of us, we just have that kind of visceral kind of reaction, cuz I'll even see people who comment on social media platforms, and they're just like, anytime I hear the word cock mentioned, like I just like either get soft, or like I get taken out of the mood, or just anything like that. And a lot of men that I know, like they will get heated and like really upset. Like they will be like, do not refer to my appendage as a cock. Like it, no,
I'm them.
you know. So it's like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, we need to like research this. Like somebody do that for me and let me know why there's that aversion and why there's that disgust. I would love to know the answer. I appreciate you. Thank you so fucking much. Love it. But it's a dick, y'all. It's a dick. We're just gonna that's gonna be the episode title. It's a dick. It is what it is at this point. And just to make it socially acceptable, it's going to be an exclamation point instead of an I. But it's a dick. Like, oh my God. Um, uh, uh, to go back to this conversation of kinks and fetishes, I did have in my notes that we will discuss the difference between the two. Now, essentially, with kinks, kinks are just like it's a generalized term just to identify anything that's outside of the norm when it comes to sexual behavior. So anything that's not vanilla is considered kinky, but kink varies per person regardless, because what I consider kinky, another person might consider their norm, and what other people consider as their norm, more like on like the vanilla side, others might see it as being kinky. And I know I mentioned this like in a previous episode, but for those who have not listened to that, here you go. You got that info now. But it's like when it comes to vanilla, vanilla is different for every single person. If you're having a conversation with somebody and asking them what they like to do in bed, and they just like, oh, I like to suck a little bit of dick. I like to suck cock. Ugh, it just sounds so wrong, y'all. I feel violated. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that to your ears, people. But I like to lick a little bit of pussy. I eat ass every now and again. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's freaky. Oh, okay. that's probably their limit of where their
Mhm.
kink stops, or their vanilla stops. But for other people, that's like, oh, that's the norm. Yes, you better eat that ass. You better lick this pussy. You better suck this dick. You better suck this. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. I almost threw up. You better pull this hair. You better choke me a little bit. Yes, yes. That's the vanilla for them, and their view of the taboo or the kinky might be bringing out chains and hitting a motherfucker with it. That's Some people do that. I'm not even going to lie. Some people do that. That's their thing. No shade, no shame. You better do you. I love it for you. But that's in terms of kink. In terms of fetish, it's more so that it's the enjoyment of having that one thing present, or to be able to engage in that thing. Like if you have a metal fetish, having the metal within the room that you can rub on, that you can touch, that you can smell, like feet fetishes. Some people just like to rub the feet. Some people like to taste the feet. Some people like to smell the feet. It and all of it is completely normal, and all of it is like valid. But even with the like those people who have, I don't know, I just cannot make the argument for um black fetishization or race play. I really can't. I try my best to do it because it is a legitimate form of sexual expression for those people who do engage in it. But I personally just cannot make the argument for it, because even when it comes to black fetishization and you fetishizing that black body, it's the fact that they become the object in the room,
Right.
uh, like in most senses with fetishes, and not the being. But
Yeah.
there's also worshiping within the fetish side too, and you're worshiping that person's body and worshiping their skin, and that can be through body rubs, that can be through suckling on the nipples, that can be through like rubbing their body, rubbing their skin, and showing appreciation. So it's like, again, there's different ways to express the kink and the fetish, but I don't know.
Yeah. And I think, when we talk about racial fetishization, it's also innately in the name. There is the reason why it's the big black cock or, like something like that. So the fact that you're putting black in the name of it automatically deduces about the fact that you're looking at myself or you're looking at black men in general as a object. Like we're a part of just this overly sexualized object. And then so when you become the object of someone else's desire, it doesn't make you feel like obviously you're human.
Mm,
It kind of dehumanizes you in a way. So it's kind of like to say if you were to take me out of the equation and just was to have my appendage, that's all that you would need.
mm,
And I think that for a lot of us, obviously knowing, black and brown history, when we come from cultures and backgrounds where we are dehumanized from history, we are segmented from people, and from rights and, all of those kind of things. And then we have to add that to sexual pleasure as well,
mm,
you know. So yeah, I think that's the nature of racial fetishization at the core. It's saying that you don't see me as a human. You
mm.
see me as an object.
This might surprise some people, because we are talking about Black people in terms of race fetishization. Surprisingly, when we step outside of Black spaces, because like if you look at the beings, the humans within this country that are fetishized the most, you have the Black man, and the surprising thing is the opposite for like on the gender spectrum is actually Asian women. And I thought it would have been Black women, but Black women in this country are seen as being the lesser of the women, which is absurd. But that's how it's seen in terms of those fetish-like spaces. It's the big black
Mm.
cock in the submissive Asian woman.
Mm,
who's there to cater to her man and things like that. And not every Asian woman is that person, and not every black man is that BBC. And racial fetishization just it just bothers me. It's just I I get it in terms of sexual expression. Don't get me wrong, I get it, but I also know that in terms of clientele, I cannot personally work with somebody who has that because I will be uncomfortable in that moment, and I will be a disservice to you because my discomfort is not going to help you in any way. Uh, but again, wherever floats your boat, do that.
right.
Make sure the person who is in that boat with you is also okay with that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't even know what would need to happen to not necessarily move past the point of racial fetishization, but to educate and have more resources for people to understand. Because like even how you and I are talking, um, everybody has their own, type of reasons for it. And like I say, we have a visceral reaction for it, but a lot of us don't even really know where it stems from.
Mm,
It's just like when we hear the word, it's just like, ugh, it sends shivers through our body.
hmm
So like you say, it's kind of like we have to understand so that way we can start to have the language to communicate it to others.
Yes. I think my probably stems from the countless of gay porn that I watch as a
Mhm.
young teenager, learning more about, sexuality and whatnot. What the hell is a top? What the hell is a bottom? And constantly hearing, "Oh, fuck me hard with your big black cock," and
Mhm.
I'm just like, okay, where's the niggas at? Can we just go there? Where are the black people on this? Let me search black. Okay, there's not. Okay, there's a lot of interracial. Oh, look, I found a black person, and I will forever love. What's his name? His name start Castro. Thank you, thank God for Castro because I used to watch all his his stuff. Granted, there were interracial things going on, but Castro, you helped the brother out because I have to hear Big Black Cop too often.
Right. And so since we're on the nature of that topic for a minute, I did actually post a recent article. It's so funny how these things tend to wrap around each other because I actually just posted a article not too recently from one of my social media accounts. Because I always like, good articles, reading, education, and things like that. If anyone is interested, mailmagazine.com, MEL magazine.com, they actually had a 2017 article that I thought was really great about this topic. It's called Living with the Myth of the Big Black Cock.
Hmm.
And they kind of go through some of those aspects that we've been mentioning and talking about things that we have seen in pornography, things that are very rampant in Black culture, uh, in music, and things like that, as being prevalent images, and those images get subverted
Hmm.
into thinking that that's what real life is like.
Yes. Now, since we're on the category of BBC, I will say that okay, since we're on the category of big black dicks, I said dogs. Lord, that shows. But big black dicks, there is one celebrity. I will still, even though this is not a celebrity hookup, celebrity crush episode, I will say, fucking Boosie, he could get it. I don't care. I do not give a damn. I understand he has his toxic history, but look, projection is real. And look, I be reading between the lines too hard. And I know if what I'm reading might be illiterate, it's okay. I might not be understanding the messages, but look, the messages that I am understanding is like, motherfucker, you can pull up be the day. What's up?
Yeah, and now that we have certain things that are being leaked and stuff like that, it's like for certain people, it's like you understand, like you say, the whole Boosie thing. Then Jesse Williams just had his, kind of junk that was shown and the play that he was doing, and you just, it's just like, yeah, you see, you understand for certain, for certain cases, but it's kind of
Right.
like again going back to the racial part of it though. It's like when you and I can't say that I would think differently, but if I was of a different skin color, But it's kind of like if I had to imagine myself, if I'm seeing someone of a darker tone than myself, I don't really believe like my immediate mind would go to the nature of putting black on it. Like I can, I would think, oh my God, like that's a big, that's a big thing. Or, like that's huge, or something like that. But for me to put like a racial implication on it,
Hmm.
so it's kind of like even I don't do that when I see obviously Caucasian men or white men, when I see new pictures of white men, it's like I don't think, in my head, oh, like this is a big, white man's dick,
Mm.
or something like that. So it's like yeah, I don't.
I don't either. I just like, okay, that's dick.
Yeah.
That's an ass.
Yeah.
That's pussy. I'm not like even because okay, y'all, look, I do have a huge attraction to trans men. I'm going to be honest. I am not going to slide in any of their DMs and be like, oh, I love your man pussy. No,
No.
I will say, oh, I love what I'm seeing for one. Like your pussy is great. I love what I'm seeing. If you identify that as a dick, I love your dick, girl. I mean, I love your dick, man. I love your dick. Like, sir, I'm here for it. But
Mhm.
it's not in a way of making them less than who they are.
Right.
I fucks with who you are as a person,
Right.
and like even when going back to the fetishization in like how race like when I was saying with the body worship, that is perfectly okay and that's fine to do if that is your scene. But if you're going to worship my body, I just would rather it not be because of my cocoa brown skin.
Mhm.
That's it. Like if you want to worship my body because you find it beautiful, even if you have kind of like a chub fetish, I'm here for it. I'm okay with it because a lot of the times people who do have a chubby guy fetish are not doing so out of the objectification of you being a chub person. They want to experience your body and they want you to experience them experiencing your body
Mhm.
rather than making you the object in
Mhm.
that scene. And I don't see that too often outside of, well, I don't see that often when it comes to race play and the fetishization of black skin.
Mhm. And also, I think like the racial fetishization also gets into a little bit of the kink aspect
Mhm.
as well, because like I remember from the article that I had made mention from Mail Magazine, the reason why I like that article so much is because they actually get different men's who have various sexual orientations, their brief stories and brief history. And I remember from one of the men that was interviewed, I can't remember which, but he said that in meeting certain white men, they have a kink for um, um, not just certain objects being introduced, but certain role play that they find to be
Mm.
turn on. So they wanted, so I remember in the article, he was saying like he would have certain white men want him to like they expect for him to make them his slave or something along those lines, so subverting obviously a bit of history, real life history of course, where
Mhm.
we know that white men and white women used to use black bodies, in general for sexual gratification. So it's in the nature of that kink where the roles are reversed. And so wanting them to be sexually pleasured in a kind of slave like mentality,
Mhm.
so for him as he was detailing that experience, of course, that being a big turnoff, for him. So like we were saying, it stems from a lot of things. And so I think that that is a great connection between what it means to be racially fetishized and then learning about the fact, okay, is this person saying this just because like they hear it in porn a lot, or is it
Mhm.
something that they actually really want to introduce into the bedroom or where you're having your sexual encounters for.
Yes. And just to go back a little bit about the that slave dynamic, I to be real, if you are willing to pay a good $500, plus to have me be your master, I might be open to it. Just know that me being your master comes with diversity, equity, inclusion, education, and
Yes,
we will be making an ally out of you.
exactly.
We're not doing this just because you feel guilty about what happened in the past. You're about to learn about what happened in the past, all of the nitty gritty and dark shit, and you're going to educate your fellow peers and all this other stuff. That's what's going to
Mm.
happen. But you're more than welcome. Let me know. We'll figure some out. We'll figure out rates. Okay. Okay. Thank you. But all that other stuff, you're not going to be saying, you know what, I'm going to gag you. If you're into gags and that slave master play, we could do that because I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want to hear any of that because I don't. Let me. You better not even think, oh, is he going to touch me with those big black hands?
Mm.
If you're thinking that, you're getting spanked. Okay. See this now. You know what? I know somebody who's going to hear this and just be like, you know what? Vern might need to be my dom, and I can be.
Like, I'll be accepting applications.
Look, now I can get real dominant, y'all. That 99% was not there for no real reason. I might be 100 switch, but that dom is next, motherfuckers. Just know. Um, now to go back to the fetishes of things, I know that you already mentioned your fetish is feet, and we brought it up a little bit briefly in our intake meeting. And this is also something that I've always wondered when it comes to people who have a foot fetish, because that is like one of the largest fetish communities is people with foot fetishes. Why feet? What is it that you like about feet?
Well, personally, and I kind of know this from experience. I think the first time I realized feet was a turn on for me was like, of course, venturing into the world of pornography, of course. I would notice that when I would be trying to, get myself off, that certain things in porn scenes would turn me on more than others. And one of those things, I would love to see somebody who would, maybe like be in missionary position, and the person who's at the top is just slowly or essentially sucking their toes, or anything like that. I could literally ejaculate based off of that. So
Mm,
that's how I knew it was kind of a turn on for me. But I didn't know, because like you'll see certain things obviously in porn, and then when you get into a real life situation, it could be something totally different, of course.
mhm.
And so when I actually did it for the first time in, with the actual partner, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is still, kind of like a turn on for me. And then I started to realize I did a little bit of research. I actually want to do a bit more research, but I learned that there are so many erotic places in the nature of your foot. And so if it's kind of like any other part of your body, if you were giving someone a foot massage, if you touch a particular point or a particular area, that's going to stimulate something. And we actually have a lot more. I can't remember the exact number, but we have a lot of nerve endings in the nature of our foot that we don't recognize. And another aspect for me as well, I think this goes back to a little bit about uh, um, racial awareness. Obviously, for myself, identifying as a Black gay man, um, the nature of how Black and Brown people, our feet were not necessarily the part of our bodies that were giving care.
Mm,
As we are growing up or getting older, it's like we did not consider foot care to be a part of like self worth. And so giving attention to that, um, I don't know, it's something that is a turn on, but also something that's almost like I'm not gonna say a humbling experience, but I don't know, it just triggers something different in the mind.
mm.
Now, it is not to say that, oh, if I see feet that I just automatically go start salivate. Like, no, it's kind of like I just want to dispel those, those thoughts, or, those rumors. Like, that's not how that works. It really depends on the partner. Some people, they like to play with dirty feet. Some people love to play with foot odors or anything like that. I'm not one of those people. I like if I do engage in foot play, I like for feet to be clean. Those kind of aspects. But hey, if that's your turn on, then hey, that's your turn on. But it's also the reason why it's a fetish for me is because I may be engaged in an encounter where I don't necessarily have to suck toes or anything like that. But if I'm able to even just give like a brief foot massage, you
Mhm.
know, that is, a turn on for me. So I would never want to make another partner feel uncomfortable to say, like, oh, if they're like really ticklish or, they just don't really like their feet being played with. It's kind of like, oh, if I was able to just give like a brief foot massage or, we played footsies or, something like that, something that just has like the foot to foot connection in a certain way,
Mhm.
that could be that could just be the turn on for me. So in foot play, it's not always about the fact that oh you have to suck or you have to lick, this. It could just be foot play.
So, child, all I gotta say is a motherfucker over here loves a good foot massage. A motherfucker over here loves a good foot suck. A motherfucker over here again loves a good foot massage. I'm here for it. I need to get the manicure now, pedicure. Now I think about it.
Yeah,
But
I do recommend that. That's why it's important for all of us out there. Make sure you're doing proper foot care because you may meet somebody who's a foot fetish freak that may want to do some things, and you never know what you may like. So you want to make sure the feet are looking good. I ain't saying that you got to have them done all the time, but just make sure that they presentable.
mhm, let them be cute, y'all. Let them be
Let
cute.
me get. Let me get.
I I know for I need to explore it a lot more, but me and metal is definitely a
Mm,
thing. Not necessarily piercings, but just chains and stuff like that. Because
mm,
while you were talking, I was like, what is the thing that really does turn me on? And I already know metal. And then thinking about the metal, I was like, oh, you want to know what? I need to create my own outfit that's because I already like breezy clothing. So I'm just like, okay, I need a little strap around the one both arms, have those mofos connect in some way, and just have chains just draping down my body like it's a t-shirt. And I'm just like, oh my God, that would be so fucking sexy. Bernie, you need to go ahead and make this or get somebody to make it for you so you can be out here all kinds of in your damn chains, nigga. Like, oh my God. Yeah, we need to
mm.
make I need to make that.
Gotcha.
Oh, that would be so cute. Oh, just being on the beach and just I'm going to Jamaica this year. I'm making sure that happens. And I need to make sure
Yes.
this suit, this outfit is ready so I can be all fucking metaled
Manifest.
out.
Manifest.
Yes. So I have a metal thing. I have a metal thing. I like body chains, okay? Um, on that note, I think this will be a great time to switch over to the end of the show. Well, before I do you have any last things about fetishes that you need to get off your chest before we get into that?
Yeah, just to put the message out there, if you do have any types of kinks or fetishes, don't be afraid to broach them, with a lover or partner. You won't know until you have the conversation about it, and there are ways that you can broach those conversations, and you'll be surprised. A lot of people are actually more open than what you think that they are, and especially if the chemistry is good, your vibe is good, you never know what people may be open to,
Mm,
or at least
facts.
trying. So,
Facts.
put
And
yourself out there.
another thing, just to piggyback off of that, make sure that you are respecting the person that you're engaging with to make sure that they are comfortable throughout your play or what have you. If they are not into it, accept that. It's not a rejection of you, it's a rejection of that particular thing. And they are not necessarily shaming you, it's just not their thing. If they are not shamed, because some people who are not educated within the sex spaces might accidentally shame, but take that in stride, be you, be happy, and continue to prosper. Now some never have I ever. You ready?
I am.
Never have I ever fooled around in my parents' bed.
Never.
I'm also a never on that one. I one I feel like I'm not that brave. And two, I also feel like that's just not the move. I don't see why some people used to do that. I just could not.
No, and you know, it also brings you back to the fact, like, even thinking like as a child, if you used to like, you know, have certain nights where you would sleep in the bed with your parents, of course. So it's not even just the fact that it's their bed and their space, but it could have been a space that, you know, you share. And to me, it's like your parents' bed is like a place of safety, it's a place of comfort. Like I don't look at my parents' bed as a place of sexual gratification. Like, no.
Right.
But you know, but to each his own. Though. You know, if that's what get you your motors running, then by all means.
Not the motor, Lord. Yeah, but for real, do you continue? Do y'all? No, I just cannot. I really cannot. I don't know because the way I see it is I personally just will not be comfortable having sex in a place where I know my parents had sex.
Mm,
I
no, no.
yeah. Next thing, now that that's disgusting and disturbing for some, uh,
Well, we gonna be
ruining people.
traumatizing people on this.
We are. People just gonna be like, why did you have to say that? Like we were with you, Vernon, and then you just had to go that extra mile. Why? Why are you this person? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Would you rather? Would Okay, I read this question. I was like, this better not say parents. This better not say anything dealing with parents. And when I start to say it, you'll understand. All right. Would you rather masturbate in front of a crowd or watch a crowd of people masturbate in front of you?
Um, I would probably choose the latter. Um, as to say, like, I would watch a crowd of people masturbate just because watching is something that turns me on. So
Mhm.
it goes into like a pleasure for me.
For me, for this question, both of them. I don't know why. I do not know why. I'm not even much of a voyeur or exhibitionist. But for some reason, I will be open to masturbating in front of a crowd.
Mm.
Um, and if y'all mofos want to see this on like a live Zoom call, make sure you do subscribe to the Patreon. 1,000 subscribers. Look, it's already a thing now. You might as well do it. Subscribe to the
Look, y'all, we gotta get some
Patreon.
live shows going on.
Look, a lot. I'll make sure everybody knows who are consenting adults, to make sure that they get into the know of this shit. But yeah, yeah, I might as well join the Patreon. Join the Patreon. Get this shit up to 1,000, so that we can have this live show and we can all masturbate in front of each other. I'm here for it. What's up?
Mm.
What the fuck is up? And I mean, if you're gonna be in this party for everybody to go ahead and masturbate, I need all cameras to be on, no recording. We gonna be masturbating in front of each other and enjoy. Okay, thank you. So yes, I will masturbate in front of a crowd and have the crowd masturbate in front of me, and I will still join them. That's it. That's
Yep.
the answer. Oh, somebody's like, this nigga Vernon is a whore and is. Welcome, welcome. This is why you should read the Essential Guide on How to Be a Hoe. Be confident in your sexuality, y'all. Be confident.
Look, you can learn some things. You can learn some things.
And can. So I have a sex question.
Mhm.
Have you ever had sex with a neighbor or coworker? And have you wanted to?
Um, Not a neighbor, a coworker adjacent, because I'm in a field where, um, like it was somebody at my, you know,
Hmm.
place of work, but I don't necessarily work directly with them. So it's like coworker adjacent. And let me see if I have to think about like right now. Yeah, yeah, there's like maybe one or two people I would.
Mm.
I would, yeah.
For me, I've had sex with multiple neighbors. This is back in my making days. It was just people was in the neighborhood. It's a good time in the neighborhood.
Look, keep
That's
it
all
in
I
the
know.
neighborhood.
Look,
Yeah, keep it in the
it's
neighborhood.
convenient. It's convenient. So definitely had sex with a neighbor. In terms of coworkers, I don't know. I haven't had. Okay, I had this is also kind of a coworker adjacent situation. I have that. I've had that multiple times. Most definitely when I was working at Geico, because everybody worked at Geico, apparently. And some people on there be on these apps, and a couple of us met up, not at the same time. It wasn't that. It probably might have been fun if it was, but at different period of times. I've hooked up with a couple of coworkers, but they were all in different departments. So,
Okay.
yeah. Now, okay, I had a recent one too. Damn, but we weren't coworkers at the time, so that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That does not count. Damn, Bernie, what the hell is wrong with you? You fucking
So
whore.
you be going into that repertoire of stories that you haven't realized you got more than what you thought.
Look, if anybody's keeping count of my body count, like, oh my God, they're just like, Vernon, this is like the 80th person that you mentioned on this damn podcast. How many, nigga? Well, it shouldn't be the 80th. If you've been keeping count of my body count throughout this podcast, let me know. Let me give me the value that you're at.
Yeah, we're gonna need some facts and some figures here.
Ain't it? A bell curve. Am I normal or not?
Right.
You're skewed towards Hoburn. Currently, I will say I do not have any coworkers that I would want to have sex with. Wait, I'm just gonna quit this damn question. It is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. Here we are at the end of the show. Tyrell, do you have any tips, tricks, things that you would like to share with the audience?
Oh no, just like I say again, just as if you are interested in certain kinks or certain fetishes, definitely, do your research about them. There's great resources that are out there. And just to make sure that you move safely, you move comfortably. And like I said, never be afraid to broach the conversation.
Amen. Well, Tyrell, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you so
Always
much.
love being here.
For the audience, again, subscribe to the Patreon. It should be out by this time. I don't know for sure. It should be. If it's not, y'all can cuss me out. It's okay. I accept that. But it should be out. It should be in the show notes. But on top of that, November is around the corner and it's going to be fun. The Patreon will definitely be out by that time. Early access to episodes, all that great shit. Again, November is coming. Be ready. Be ready for this reunion. On that note, thank you all so much for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak about sexuality. Just in case no one else has told you this today, you are beautiful. You are worthy of happiness and joy. You are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all and see you next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.holiloquy.com. That's www.heauxliloquy.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.